Yo, tell that guy bring some Gatorade over here. Where'd you go? Tell that guy bring some Gatorade over here. Anybody see that? All right, never mind. It's Mini Monday recap. How's everyone doing? Some things are changed up here. It's all in flux, just like probably your team's playoffs hopes. Unless you're me, then not so much in flux. And also something that's not in flux, the person that's always right here. Let me get the directions. I told you everything's changed up, guys. Give me a second, all right? Person's right here. There we go. There he is. There he is.
Like,
how you doing, Phil?
Right here. Hey.
Yeah, there he is. There he is. My bad.
It's a Monday recap. Definitely, it's basically playoff type games every week now, and we hitting y'all on Saturdays as well around this holiday season. This is great.
Damn, dude, we do 5 shows a week now. It's crazy. It's crazy.
This is actually out of hand. Yeah,
I promise no more getting sick either, so we don't have to miss no shows. But I appreciate everyone for being here. Obviously, Real Talk, Daniel Berry Sports, Israel's here. Necron, anything happened this weekend, bro? Dude. Anything happened this weekend? We'll talk about it.
Just the expected ass kicking. That's all.
I didn't expect it. I'm not going to front on that one. I did not expect what happened in Buffalo. I didn't forecast the weather, but what did I say before we started? Before the game started, I was like, watch out for that lake effect. It was in full effect. There was like sleeting, it was rain, it was all sorts of nonsense for the Cowboys, and they ain't used to that, let me tell you. But I don't even think that mattered. I don't even think the weather really mattered as far as how they played last night. It was afternoon, and it gets dark quick up in New York if you didn't notice when you're watching that game. But obviously we got to go over pretty much all the games. I don't know if there was any games like that didn't have insignificance. Even the last team in the league won yesterday. Even the worst team in the league won yesterday. That's how many influx any given Sunday. I think there's still concrete down there at the bottom spot, but that is something to just quickly gloss over. Many other games as well, but one thing I want to talk about is that Falcons-Panthers game, just because the Falcons were leading the division at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, they
score 1 touchdown, and the Panthers, I think, just scored 3 field goals, and they won 9-7. The Panthers won 9-7, which is very surprising. But with that loss, bumps the Falcons down, and the Buccaneers got a win, which we'll talk about in a bit, and it puts them back up. So, were you surprised to see the Panthers get a win yesterday? Is what I just really want to ask you.
Oh, yeah, just briefly. I mean, obviously, they're still, the worst team in the league, so that is what it is. With the Falcons, it just shows they have no quarterback, right? And this is all coming back to bite them. So, this game was significant because they're in the NFC South race, and it was like a 3-way tie. And, with them losing, I think this really exposed the Falcons, and likely they're not going to make the playoffs.
It's tough, man. It's tough. And I'm not for a Buccaneers fan like myself, but it's tough to be in that position. And they had Desmond Ridder. I'm like, what do you expect? What do you expect them to do? And in that spot, not a whole lot they can do. But the other games that I want to talk about, obviously, we'll go over real quick. Lions-Broncos. Didn't expect this to be a blowout. I will say that. And it was Saturday night. So we didn't really talk about it Sunday morning. But what were your thoughts on this? 5 TDs out of Jared Goff. And a big game from Detroit.
Yeah, good bounce back from Detroit. I mean, it was cool having some Saturday football, like we was mentioning. And, that was a game where the Lions had to, kind of get right. They definitely did. Jared Goff, me a little inflated right there. 5 touchdowns. Like, you did good. You did good, Jared Goff. But I think this is more just showing the limitations of the Broncos. They had a great run, kind of ran out of pixie dust in this game against Detroit.
That's fair.
And, the Lions did what they're supposed to do.
And what did you say earlier about earlier this season about the formula for Russell Wilson keeping him under like 20 throws? I mean, 32 attempts and 18 on 32 is never going to win you a game, but Definitely not from Russell Wilson.
You
Unfortunately,
know, the game got out of hand. The game got out of hand. The fact that he had to throw, more than like 25 times.
Yeah. You never want to see that. Unfortunately, it's not the same Russell Wilson. We thought it might be, but it's not the same Russell Wilson. And I think I missed a game on here, not on my list, but we'll get to that real quick. Vikings Bengals, first game of the day on Sunday, overtime, and Jake Browning, he might be something, man. He might be something. I guess the Vikings actually dropped and are traded Jake Browning earlier this season, and then he got picked up by the Bengals. And then one of the things that he said at the end of the game was like, "You should have never effing caught me," which was pretty sick to see. Obviously, pretty cool for Jake Browning. But what were your thoughts on this game and the Bengals?
Yeah, with the Bengals, it's about Jake Browning. That's the main thing with that. The backup, he's filling in for Joe Burrow, so people are excited about him holding it down for the Bengals, and they're in a spot where they could sneak into the playoffs, which is insane with their backup. So and it exposed I don't want to say expose the Vikings. It's going to be a dogfight. This was like a playoff type game as well. So the Vikings trying to hold on to their playoff seeding. The Bengals still fighting to make it. So that's going to make all these games cool. It's going to be really competitive this last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because it's playoff implications.
And Nick Mullins didn't look too bad. I mean, 2 interceptions, never want to see that, but
bad picks. Yeah. Bad turnovers. Yeah.
Bad. But 26 to 33, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's pretty good without the interceptions. And obviously, without those turnovers, you never give the Bengals the shot to win. So maybe Nick Mullins is the answer in the interim to try and get the Vikings into the playoffs. But even when you get there, man, it's like for some of these teams that are really parching themselves together, like there's a lot of 7-7 teams, 8-6, 6-8 teams that people might group together, but I don't think they can be compared the same. Like Jake Browning, I think he's the quarterback that, for the Bengals, they can go on a run because they still have a good defense. Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase. I mean, you got a lot of weapons there. But like something like the Vikings, even if they get into the playoffs, it's like, are you confident in Nick Mullins? Do you think Joshua Dobbs is going to come back? So it's like for some of these teams, and I know this is probably like a mean saying this, but it's kind of like, what's the point if you do make the playoffs? But we talked about it briefly, but on Saturday, and we went over it on Sunday a little bit, but 30-13 Steelers on Saturday. Thoughts on that, Gardner Minshew? Just for the people who weren't here yesterday, get your Colts, your second home, taking a W.
Scrappy win. Win for the Colts. Like we were saying, this game really, shows again. You couple that with the Jags loss, which we'll talk about later. They're in a 3-way tie. The Colts are for the AFC South lead. Insane. Now the Jags have the tiebreakers, I think, over both teams, but them and the Texans. But they're right there. The Colts are like, I didn't expect this when the young stud went out, Anthony Richardson, earlier this year with the injury. I was ready to mail this in, like, hey, we'll be back next year with the young phenom, Minshew magic. And then I think what we highlighted with this game was Coach Tomlin, top 5 coach, in the league right now, has no quarterback, has no offense. It's hard to hide that Kenny pick 6 is pretty much like bare minimum starter quarterback level. When you go under that, you see Mitch Trubisky and Mason Rudolph. Like it's just a terrible regression.
Yeah.
Something major. I mean, it's like, hey, this is the NFL these days where it's some quick reactions, but you got to have offense. Tomlin is a defensive coach. He fired Matt Canada already. You can't keep blaming Matt Canada. He's fired. Kenny Pickett. I don't know what they're going to do, man. Like hopefully people talking about the hot seat for Tomlin. That's just crazy. But he has no offense, and you're not going to make it to the playoffs. Definitely no offense.
No, and that's what I mean. Like this is the same kind of argument I have with the Vikings. It's like even if the Steelers make it somehow, it's like, well, what's the point? What's the point? Osa coming here. I'm resident Patriots fan. What's up, Osa? I got my Patriots hat on right now, bro. Even though I know we're tanking, a part of me wants the Pats to beat the Chiefs, low key. Wanted the Pats to beat the Chiefs. Oh yeah, me too. Every Patriots fan want to beat the Pats, dude. Especially when you got Travis Kelce flopping like he is against some dude who's a foot smaller than him and 100 pounds lighter. Especially when you got that happening in our end zone. It'll be a different year next year, Osa. Well, Osa, since you're the other resident Patriots fan, we can gloss over that game real quick too. What did
I I will say, what did I think of that game? Well, the Patriots,
you ever just do
that? Yeah.
No,
okay, I guess I'll stop.
Osa's thoughts are on the Patriots and the Bill Belichick. Do you think that he's going to come back as a coach next year? Because myself, as another Patriots fan, I think that he is going to come back next year. I think it'd be stupid to let him go. But Osa, what are your thoughts down there in the chat? And we'll get over here. I hit the back button on the wrong screen. That's what happened.
Very good. On that Belichick topic, just briefly,
yes,
because I think I'm leaning more towards that they're going to make a change, because I don't think you want Belichick picking the next quarterback. Like you don't want to break no more toys. You know what I mean? I really think Robert Kraft would be like, hey, I mean, we had a great run. And this is how I think it's going to happen. Like, not saying outright fire him as coach, but he's going to end up walking. This is what I mean real quick. You want to get another GM in there to build this team. You let Belichick build this team all these years, but you had the GOAT the whole time there. So, like, was he really building the team, or was Brady dragging whatever scraps that you gave him, right?
Yep.
Brady's gone. This is kind of exposed now that you have no one to carry the team. I want to build this team properly. Relinquish power, Belichick. I don't want to. Okay, let's agree that you walk away. And that's how I think it's going to be. But we'll see. I mean, that's just my theory.
That's fair. And I don't blame you for thinking that either. I think him this year, at least, owning up to the fact that he didn't have a good pick with Mac Jones and he finally sat him. I think that means a lot for, Kraft and everybody. So I think he might have a chance to stay. I think it'd be stupid to let him go anywhere else, but that's just me. As a Patriots fan, like, am I looking at all the other coaches in the NFL right now? It's like, yeah, let's keep Bill. Let's definitely keep Bill. What are we talking about? Even if we had one bad year, like, he gave us 22 good other ones. Like, and I understand with what your Tom Brady defense on there. I'm right on the Tom Brady boat too. But even with that being said, like, Tom Brady didn't play defense for all those teams. And he is a great defensive mind still to this day. So Osa's saying, I don't think the Pats would have let Tom E. Kern break the news of a possible coaching change if they weren't going to part ways. Tom E. Kern's a big guy. You're right. Jared Mayo or Brian Flores should take the helm.
They get Brian Flores. Woo! Y'all would hit the Patriots. Y'all would hit the jackpot only
coach,
because Brian Flores, he coached for the Dolphins. Carlos was probably frustrated during that time, but in the chat. But he's defensive coordinator for the Vikings right now. The Vikings have really good defense right now, good schemes, good blitzes, and all that stuff. So Brian Flores will work. First, he's a Belichick guy. Yeah. So that's one thing. He comes from that tree.
Yep.
I'm sure that's why Osa Fresh mentions him, along with Gerard Mayo, former player.
He's coaching there right now, too.
Brian Flores would need just a real knockout of offensive coordinator. Then that could really work. That could really work if you get Brian Flores. He's like a Tomlin guy. Brian Flores is to me. You just gotta have the right offensive coordinator. That would be, and you pick your new quarterback, and you're gonna have a good defense.
Yeah. Dream scenario. I put it in the. Yeah. Oh, so you don't want Flores?
You have a good coordinator. That's why.
Yeah, that's why. I will say dream scenario as a Patriots fan, and also will probably agree with this. Someone put it like in a meme, basically, because it's probably the likeliness of this happening is like 1%, less than 1%. But they said dream scenario: Bill resigns, Tom and Gronk come out of retirement and re-sign with the Patriots. They pick up Mike Evans in free agency, and they run the AFC for 5 more years. Like, yo, that'd be sick. That'd be sick. But
what's that meme I see on Twitter a lot with it's like, this is the part where we throw our heads back and start laughing.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly how that feels too, man. That's tough. But hey, man, I said dream scenario. 1% chance. 1% chance. Oh man. If he gets this, if he gets to stop, you better hope he gets a QB he likes. Because if not, he'll be toxic in the locker room. Just as Tua. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Like I said, Flores, he needs, it's proven he needs the right offensive coordinator with him, and that's a fair criticism. I don't know who, he will partner with for that.
Yeah,
that's a real concern. Yeah,
it is. It's tough, but hopefully the Patriots figure it out because they're one of the greatest franchises in the NFL. We got to have them be good. It's not nice to see them suck. And it's nice to be following 2 teams that are good, not just the Buccaneers. I like to follow the Patriots too a little bit more instead of just look, who they got. Bailey Zappi, sweet. Going to be a loss again. But that is enough with glossing over the games. Let's get into the games that we would actually want to talk about. And the first one being, and someone set me up nicely for it. They were saying that Waddle saved them in fantasy. I think Necron said that. Man, it's over for the Aaron Rodgers experiment, huh? He might come back still. He might still play, but what's the point? What's the point for real? Because they are officially out of the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, there's no reason. There's no reason. I mean, we was holding on to a dream, just like my fellow Bears fans. We was like, we actually have an outside chance of making the playoffs. But that dream dashes so quickly. The Jets were 1 game away from the greatest comeback attempt in NFL history. It just all came apart. A big 0, showing that the Dolphins, great showing without Tyreek Hill. It was a total team effort. Defensively, I think that's where the Dolphins, has gotten better from last year and even during this season. So this was a very important win for the Dolphins because you have a showdown next week with the Cowboys. So this, obviously you needed to, you want to win this game, but you needed to look good,
right?
And I actually picked the upset. I thought the Jets, I was riding the Aaron Rodgers dream. I thought the Jets would show up. The Jets are a mess. I think they're gonna fire everybody. Like I don't know what. I don't know what you do to fix this team. It's like Coach Saleh. He looks just dumbfounded every game. And the only thing that's saving him is because I'm sure the call was over his head to, have Aaron Rodgers there and just have Zach Wilson, kind of do his thing until Aaron can play. This was a disastrous year after the injury, albeit. So they're running back next year, but that's a bad way to go out. That's like going out like the Chargers went out almost. Not as bad as the Chargers, but but that's when the team just doesn't have any more fight left.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things like, it is almost as bad as the Chargers. It's in the same vein as the Chargers where like the coach is like, well, you can tell when the team's giving up when they're getting blown out. It's like, this is a blowout, certifiable blowout. I think the Jets fans' hopes kind of really dashed out of the window when Zach Wilson got hurt in this game. It's like, now we're really done. And it sucks too, excuse me, for the defense. It's like, this is supposed to be one of the top 5 defenses as well in the NFL, but something happened, man. It's like they know that they're out and they don't want to play anymore, or it's just they have bad like coaching schemes. I know the Dolphins offense is a force to be reckoned with, but it's like, what was the score going to be if Tyreek was out there? and I'm glad that he didn't play, honestly, because he didn't need to. But it would have been nice to see his MVP numbers go up. But he's not thinking about MVP. He's thinking about Super Bowl. So good on him for getting some rest. Jalen Waddle comes out with 8 receptions, 142 yards. Tua still has a great day. Almost has a perfect attempts, 21 to 24. That's great. Raheem Mostert, only 42 yards on the ground, 2 TDs. I mean, Dolphins are rolling, man. And we'll talk about the other game in a second, but this next week with the Cowboys-Dolphins, that might be a heavy spread, depending on, I know the Cowboys are at home for that, but oh no, the Cowboys are on the road. They're in Miami.
They're on the road,
yeah. Woo. So yeah, it might be like a 7-point spread. Who knows? We'll have to see Necron what he thinks about that.
I think it'll end up being like one of those 3.5 favoring the Dolphins at home, likely, especially after the way the Cowboys got worked. But so they're not gonna, they're gonna still keep it close, but favor, slightly favored if I'm gonna guess, right? But I think this is what I'll say. Like we still gotta remember who the Dolphins was playing this game. Now, yes, the Dolphins had to show up because they just lost to the Titans. They just got, physically pushed around. Right? And the Titans really should have beat the Texans, this past, yesterday as well. But so they got pushed around, right? So you come into this game, Dolphins, you got to man up, and the defense did. Now, as far as with Tua, now I just want to kind of break this to people. Like he's like Brock Purdy numbers. People get on Brock Purdy like, oh, is Purdy elite? Is Purdy just be efficient, be a good game manager, which is what Cam Newton said Tua was.
Every time I hear that, I think about it.
Just good job. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You do the ball less than 25 times. Sounds like a good team win. And Tua, you wasn't the reason when we lost or something. Like you did great. Line this up against the Cowboys next week. I'm not ready to just say all out. You know what I mean? I'm not ready to just say all out. The Dolphins is a better team than the Cowboys. I'm like, hey, you was playing the Jets. Okay? Like the Jets, they just gave up in front of our eyes. I don't know why. They just did. So Tua is a really good quarterback. He's having a great year. He's in the top 4, this year quarterbacking. All I'm saying is that let's just, just remember y'all just played the Jets. That's all I'm saying. So, we'll talk about the Cowboys Sunday when that day comes.
I agree with you. But I'm so surprised that the Jets really gave up like they did, especially with the Aaron Rodgers coming back. I mean, the Aaron Rodgers hype was so much so that it took you to choose the Jets. That's how much it was a feeling in the air. But the Miami Dolphins said, "Nah, dude, nah. This is December football. We're gonna blow you out of the water." But you're absolutely right. Next week is a test that we'll see who each of these teams are. We'll see if the Dolphins are, this high scoring explosive team that we think they are. And if the last week was just, or this week, I guess I should say, it was just a bad game for the Cowboys, which perfect segue. Let me just bring that right in here and go to the Cowboys Bills. Did not expect this game to go the way it did either. I mean, I talked about the Lake effect. Lake effect showed up, man. Cowboys 10, Bills 31. What were your thoughts on this game, dude?
I'm worried about the Cowboys. I know I said all this about the Dolphins going into the Cowboys. I'm worried about the Cowboys, especially on the road, right? And check 2 boxes right there. You just played terrible, and you're still on the road.
Yep.
Yikes, right? Now, we keep saying this, December football, right? After Thanksgiving, that's when the NFL, you are who you are. Yes, you still could lose a game here and there if a team out schemes you, but you ain't supposed to get blown out like the Chargers just did or the Jets just did. That means you know what I mean? So Cowboys, you get enrolled. If this was October, early this year they lost to the Cardinals. It's like, okay, I wouldn't worry, but this is we're a week away from Christmas and you got rolled. Like that worries me, right? Like Dak Prescott, hey, just the numbers are there, but like just
Yeah.
What? You might as well have who's the backup for the Cowboys? I forget his name.
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush. You could have had Cooper Rush. Could have did this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, it's like, and see, I'm hard on these, so-called star quarterbacks. So this is what Cam Newton was talking about, that you're not a game changer. Now, I'm not saying you're a bad quarterback, Dak. I mean, you was my MVP pick, but MVP step up in December, man. At least go down swinging.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. Like, you went out in this game, bro. You know what I'm saying? It was so bad, and I put some blame on, obviously, your leader, your captain, right, Dak Prescott. But I put more blame on the Dallas defense, and that's what's going to get them beat in December and in the playoffs. This defense, Micah Parsons, supposed to be the highest paid defensive player ever after his contract's up, I think next season. There's no, if you still have the same defensive scheme with this dude, and you know how many, do you know, Austin, me and you had as many tackles as Micah Parsons yesterday. Do you realize that?
Damn, we're good, dude.
This man had zeros. It was like he wasn't even out there.
That's terrible, man.
Okay, so all I'm saying, obviously, I'm not going to do no hyperbolic, Skip Bayless type stuff here. This is what I'm saying, though, okay, because this is the second time this happened in his career. Zeros. Either something's wrong with the scheme. Now, Dan Quinn's a great coach.
Yeah.
Defensive coach. Something's wrong with this scheme. You're not using them right, or he's not really Lawrence Taylor 2.0. One of these things are true. If you're not using them right, I really got to look at the coaching. Like, what? Because I'm pretty sure Parsons is that dude.
Right.
You can't have no zeros, bro. Come on now. It's like, I grew up watching, I was really young, but I remember Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
He wouldn't allow himself to be out there and get zero. Come on, man. Something's wrong with this defense. When they lose on the road, I blame the defense more than anything.
Yeah.
And then Dak just didn't have any help. So I'm not ready to jump off the Dak, boat. I know yesterday I was like, oh, Purdy's MVP, crown him right now, crown him.
I was like, damn.
No, I'm not ready. No, Dak still has a chance. That defense, I am very worried. Now you about to, Tyreek Hill took a week off, huh? He's going to be a little more healthier next week.
Yeah.
I am really worried about this Cowboys defense. So that's the main thing I took from this, Austin, is say what you want about Dak. You have good games, bad games. Some people, was just like me, jumping off the bandwagon. Like, oh, he's on MVP. F Dak. It's like, no. That Dallas defense, I'm really worried. And flip side, Bills, are we finding the Josh Allen formula? Now, obviously, 15 throws, that's just insane.
Yeah, no way.
This was the James Cook game, if people don't realize this. He had over 200 yards all-purpose offense. You know what I'm saying? But
crazy.
Josh Allen, keep him under 30 throws, then he can. Is that the formula? A running game? Because that would be very scary if the Bills figure out how to run the ball. And then when Josh Allen has to throw, we know he can throw, right? So we'll see what the Bills do. That's coaching. Let's see what they do. But I'm more worried, a long-winded way of saying, I'm more worried about the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and I think everyone was saying it, analysts, no one wants to see this Bills team if they do have to reach them in the AFC. Like they're not going to win the AFC East most likely, obviously, but when they get into the playoffs, I don't think or even the Ravens or the Chiefs, they're gonna sleep on they should sleep on this team, because this is not the Bills team that we saw earlier this season. This is the Josh Allen, James Cook. I mean, Stephon Diggs making big plays and big catches too in the rain. Like, this is exactly what you need out of the Bills, and coming together at this time of the year is scary for everybody else too. That's why I believe I might have even put them in my top 10. I'm not sure, or on the bubble, just because of the win against the Chiefs. Yeah, the win against the Chiefs was just a big time win for me, especially being on the road and then going home and having this type of win. against the Cowboys. It's like very opportune. They played very well, and as Necron saying in the chat, the Cowboys played so badly that they didn't stand a chance. They had no momentum, dude. They were like trying like the Flash running on ice, dude. It's just like nowhere to go, no traction, just spinning their wheels, unfortunately. And that's what happened, man. You saw like kind of a self-destruction on the road, but I said it earlier this year, with a lot of the games that good teams were losing. Hopefully, this is the only loss they take in December, and it's one that they can really, really learn from, because this is something that like you can't repeat these mistakes twice, and you can't repeat this scheme twice either. On top of that, so Tony Pollard only having 52 yards and 11 carries is never going to get it done. CeeDee Lamb only having 53 yards, never going to get it done. Like this offense just wasn't there, and then the defense was just Swiss cheese. As Necron wants me to Sparta kick their asses tomorrow, dude. They were number one. They can't go Sparta kick after one loss, dude. Come on. I ain't that.
Yeah, they're not gonna fall that much, but definitely the Bills. I do a preview of my power rankings. The Bills definitely in the top 10.
Yeah,
if they keep this running game up. But yeah, the Bills. I mean, two things could be true here. The Bills figured out their run game, and Cowboys just laid an egg. And
that's
like,
fair.
Is this really them? Obviously, this is not really what the Cowboys are all year. So it's like, but why does this happen? Like that's the thing. We know this isn't the Cowboys we've seen all year. So that's what's puzzling. That's what's disturbing about it.
Yeah, it's a very strange loss. And it's like you really gotta, and that's why I mean, like, hopefully this is a loss that they can really learn from, because as peculiar as the circumstances are, like you got to really dive into this game. You can't just immediately write it off. It's like, where did we go wrong, and why did it keep going wrong? Because we can't have this happen again if we're going to be a Super Bowl winning team. I mean, you can have bad games. We've seen it even in the Super Bowl. We've seen teams have bad games, but if you're able to figure out immediately, all right, like what's going wrong, and how do we stop, continuing that from snowballing, and then you make an adjustment. Someone made a joke about Salah making adjustments. Like, what did he say during halftime? Because the Jets just looked worse when they came out of halftime. But the Cowboys, they weren't as bad. They weren't the worst team of the weekend. The Jets were, my friend. I promise you that.
The Jets. The Jets definitely. I mean, they earned that. But just this game next week, like, I'm excited to get to next Sunday. When we talk about this more, but that Dolphins Cowboys game, like that's the separator. Like, I think whoever wins that game, like that team should be definitely taken seriously. You know what I'm saying? Going into the playoffs for their division, because I mean, this would be a signature win for the Dolphins if they beat this Cowboys team. And the Cowboys, like you got some fight left, man. Like you don't go out like that. Like this is a big game.
And every game is big, I guess, going forward for a lot of these teams. And Necron goes through this every September. Sorry, Necron. Oh man, sorry, Necron. That's tough. He gave me a good segue again. Shout out to the chat, give me segues. He said if the Cowboys D doesn't figure out, the Texans are going to be Texas's team going forward, and they got a dogfight win on the road with, I believe, a backup, if I'm not mistaken. And CJ Stroud was out. It was Case Keenum who was in, and got them to win on the road. What did you see from this game, and what did you think about it?
Yeah, this was important because the AFC South, again, the Texans, they're showing a lot of moxie. DeMeco Ryans, Coach of the Year candidate. I mean, you figured, okay, CJ Stroud's just that dude, right? He's carrying the whole team. He's out. You still win with Case Keenum on the road against a tough Titans team that beat a good Dolphins team the prior week. This is like, I think the Texans coaching staffs, no matter what happens the rest of the way, like everyone's getting a raise. Like they're just like, you don't supposed to win games like this without your two top receivers and without your phenom quarterback. Now, Devin Singletary, when all else fails, you got to run the ball, right? So they established a running game. He was breaking some good runs the part that I saw in the game. And yeah, this is a gutsy win. Now, Will Levis did get dinged up late in this game. Not saying that affected the entire game because I think it was overtime when he got hurt, but so I think it was like a knee injury. I didn't get any updates on that, but hopefully, I'm excited for next year for AFC South, all these young quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson, I guess Trevor Lawrence, and you got Levis over there, and obviously CJ Stroud. So hopefully Levis will be okay. But yeah, this game was about the Texans coaching staff finding ways to win without all of your best players. Like, that's literally what they did. And they are tied, though the Jags had the tiebreaker. Texans are tied for AFC South lead along with the Colts and Jags. They shouldn't be here, but they are. So goes to the coaching staff.
My camera just fell over. Sorry, chat. That's hilarious. I'll have to fix that in a second. What a game, though, out of the Texans to show that they are a playoff team. My eyes, that's what it showed off to me. Like, you got to get these wins on the road, and even when your quarterback goes down, you have Case Keenum come in and play like he does. 23 to 36, 229 yards. Did throw in an interception. Still, still can't have a game without an interception, Case Keenum, but still played it well enough to win them the game in overtime. It's like you said, Coach of the Year, I think. I mean, hands down at this point. I mean,
best coaching job.
Broncos still ain't winning, so the Texans, he's taking point for that for sure. I'm pissed because Devin Singletary comes out and has a game like this. I was gonna pick him up in my fantasy and I didn't. But shout out to the Texans getting a road win and with the Houston Oilers playing against you. The slap in the face, man.
Very, very disrespectful, yeah.
The slap in the face. So, shout out to the Texans for getting this, road win. And I believe it was raining, too, during that game. So, they had to play in the elements, and they didn't stray away. Mr. J is coming in here to say, Raider Nation, yeah, we know you won, dude. We get it.
Raider
63
Nation,
points.
They're gonna spoil some. They're gonna spoil some seasons. They. It's good to see these teams still got some fight in them, like the Titans were showing before Levis got hurt. Hey, they're not going out like the Jets. They're trying to. They're trying to play like the Chargers gave up. Yeah.
Poor Chargers fans, man. I feel bad for him. Real bad. But another game that had playoff implications as far as is this team gonna definitively be the number one seed, and is this other team gonna limp into the playoffs, or are they gonna lose their number one spot in their division? That was the Ravens Jaguars. The look of bewilderment was there again, bro. It was there. The look of bewilderment was there. Ravens went on the road, and they look like the surefire favorites to go to the Super Bowl right now out of the AFC. Mm-hmm. What did you think after seeing this game in Duval?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ravens, like what I thought last week when the Ravens survived a really well-coached Rams team with, a veteran quarterback, all his weapons, great running game. Like the Rams are for real, I believe. And so when the Ravens survives that, it's clear the Ravens are the most complete team in the AFC. Can't wait to Sunday because they play the most complete team in the NFC, the 49ers. I can't wait for that game right there, bro. So it's like to see the Ravens. It's like, and this is this whole game manager thing. This is why I say, like, that's not a slight when you call someone a game manager, because I understood what Cam Newton was saying, former MVP, Heisman Trophy winner. I think he won a Heisman, yeah. 5-star athlete coming out of high school, like that. Cam Newton said, "Hey, he changed the game, because we had like Michael Vick, then you had Cam Newton, that came in the league. You know what I mean? Like
he was different.
Style. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So when he says, "Hey, this guy is different," or he says, "Hey, Peyton and Tom Brady were the greatest game managers ever," that wasn't a diss.
No,
he said these guys controlled the game, and Lamar Jackson is tapping into that. He's like, I don't have to throw the ball 30, 40 times.
Right.
I can manage the game. Now that interception, I think that was like a bad bounce tip or something like that. Yeah. So it was like, I don't put that on him. But he's like, hey, I'm gonna get you with the run, the passing game. If
And
I got to run, I'll go and get 100 yards on you. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
It's like that's scary. That's scary,
Yeah.
and that's the blueprint for Mr. Justin Fields. That's the blueprint right here with Lamar. But he manages the game like it's very. This is a scary team to play. The Ravens are, because they will methodically beat you up. They will rough you up physically as well. I didn't feel the Jags had a chance the entire game, Austin. Like, I'm watching this game. Every time something happened, I'm like, yeah, I know it's like 7-0, but like the Jags literally have no chance, And then Trevor Lawrence will run around, get hit, drop the ball. It's like no one was worried playing the Jags. Like, y'all,
they weren't doing
no
nothing.
one's worried about the Jags. Now shout out to the defensive Josh Allen. He was wrecking havoc in that game, but it's like, pick your poison with these Ravens. Oh, you want you want to hold down Odell Beckham? Okay, we got Zay Flowers. Oh, Zay Flowers. Okay, Lamar's like, I'm gonna run around, like do a vintage Michael Vick escape and throw it up to Isaiah Likely with the Moss catch over two people. This is scary for anyone. That the Ravens just show up, they punch the clock, they beat you up, and they get the win. That's their formula. And Lamar's playing smart. I know it's not like this MVP numbers that he did a couple of years ago, but he's playing better now. If you just can believe that, he's playing a smarter game now than ever, because he's throwing the ball. Like, he is not looking to run every time. There's design runs, and he's breaking it for like 30 yards, but it's like
crazy.
Methodically, I mean, it's like a Tom Brady type approach. He's like, okay, I'm gonna check this down. Okay, I'm gonna, I can run. Oh, okay, go run. It just scary stuff. So I cannot wait to see them play the 49ers. But one more thing with the Jags, Trevor Lawrence, 43 throws. You're going to lose every time you do that. All right,
that's it. It's pretty simple, man. And I had a bad feeling about this game going in, because the Jaguars don't play good at home, and they played even worse at home. As Real Talk said, they look lost, man. It's tough. He says he hopes the Bills knock them out of the playoffs because you don't want them. Hey, man, you mean the Jaguars? Because the Bills ain't knocking the Baltimore Ravens out of the playoffs. Rebel Moon commercial on Monday Night Football right now. That's awesome. And a quick look over to Monday Night Football. Looks like Jalen Hurts is playing. There was some reports that he wasn't going to play, and they're up 7-0. Eagles up 7-0 on the Seahawks, if anyone wanted to know about Monday Night Football. And shout out to Rebel Moon, too. Make sure you go watch it on Netflix coming up this week.
Rebel Moon Week.
Yes. I'm hyped for that, dude. Whoo. So Ravens get the win, and as you said, they're playing the 49ers. We didn't have that game, but we can gloss over that game real quick, the 49ers game, because they had a commanding victory. I mean, this game was over before it started, I feel like, when I was watching it. There was a Cardinals versus – wasn't it the Cardinals? Where did they go past it?
Yeah, they play – 49ers played
the
Cardinals.
45-29. I mean, yikes. What are your thoughts, early thoughts, I guess, because this game, what are we going to talk about? But what are your early thoughts behind the 49ers Ravens going forward? Do you think the Ravens are going to be able to score enough? Because that's one thing that the 49ers, they're scored so easily right now, it's not even funny.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this is going to be fun. Like you said, this is a gloss over game. I mean, Kyler Murray, you know how I feel about the little guy. But he ain't nothing to work with against the 49ers, man. It's like, that wasn't even fair. Like, Chase Young is coming. Nick Bosa's coming. It's like nah. So, but yeah, as far as the 49ers, this was a nice tune-up game because we're getting a Super Bowl preview next week.
That's fair.
So this is a tune-up game, division game. Put your hands on them. And Brock Purdy again playing an efficient game, 4 TDs, like Jared Goff, like how he did that game. But I think just overall, this is going to be just a great test of, because the 49ers Ravens game, this isn't telling you who's going to win the Super Bowl. This is just, this is the next test. What score are you going to get in this test? Because I think both teams are still going to, handle their business, both of their divisions. But just that Lamar Jackson
factor,
that record versus the NFC is very interesting. It's very interesting what Lamar Jackson does to the NFC teams. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. But this was, again, a nice tune-up. And I just can't wait. I just feel like this is like a I don't want to say like exhibition because the game matters, but it's just 49ers Ravens. It's just like, hey, let's just see, who got the best punch. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be cool to watch.
Let's line up and let me just see. Oh, they're at home versus the Ravens too. Okay. And they got Commanders Rams after that. Yeah, so this is like the biggest test they have going forward. I think Ravens. Obviously, the Rams will give them some tough love at home, but at home against the Ravens, it's big time. And we got some Niners fan, number 1 seed versus number 1 seed. Absolutely, that's what it is, Israel. That's what it is. It's gonna be a game coming up this week. But one last game we got to talk about. I saved it for last, obviously, because it's my favorite game, the one I was watching the whole day. Buccaneers Packers, man. I didn't know this until this morning, actually. My cousin went to this game. My cousin's a Packers fan. He went to this game in Lambeau, and it was actually there's a warm front, they were saying, in Lambeau Field. It was like 41 degrees, but with the wind chill, it felt like 35. And Baker Mayfield had been in Lambeau the 3 seasons prior in December, and they're all colder games. He said before the game, was like, "Oh, this is the warmest game I've had here." Third time's a charm there, I guess. I say this is the third time because the previous 2 games he lost against Aaron Rodgers, but against Jordan Love, man, it was going back and forth. It was like 10-10, it was 13-10, and then it was 20-10, it was 20-13, and real quick, I thought it was 27-20. Like, it was going back and forth. The key things in this game I set out before the game. I said Carlton Davis isn't starting. That's a good thing. Devin White isn't starting. That's a good thing. I thought Devin White was out with a toe injury. It came out during the game that Todd Bowles just sat him.
What?
They just sat him.
Like, dang. That's rough.
Yeah, dude. I want to see real talk. So, Austin, the teams losing this week in fantasy will lose their players drop. I think that's what you meant to say. Yes, if you lose in fantasy this week, your team's going to be gone, basically, essentially. That my team's going to on the chopping block too right now with how Jalen Hurts is probably going to have a good night tonight. But the Buccaneers, though, key third down conversions. They you know how they rip off stats during the game, and it's like, don't say that. You're going to jinx them. Middle of a 3rd and 4 conversion, they're ripping off a stat. Buccaneers are number 1 in the league with like a 73% conversion rate on 3rd and 5 or less. They're the best in 3rd down conversions in the league. As they're saying that stat, they rip off another 3rd down conversion. There was a 3rd and 12 on one of the last drives of the game when it was close. It was like 27. I think it was 27-20. And if we gave them the ball back, they could have came back and tied the game. We had a 3rd and 12 after a bad like false start call, and they throw a screen out to Chris Godwin, and he goes for 14 and gets us the first down. And that was just like the beginning of it. Most of the touchdowns came from outside of the red zone yesterday for the Buccaneers. So they were just like, there was a 54-yard touchdown that was just supposed to be a slant pass, and our 4th string wide receiver just like cut up the field and just ran all over the Packers. I thought the Packers were a better team this year, man. They have no defense whatsoever. And I mean, the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield play great on top of that, but the defense looks so bad for the Packers. It was just like, oh, you had a forced fumble in the first half. That was a gimme on the Buccaneers. I thought that was going to be like the deciding factor. It wasn't. Buccaneers just ran all over. Rachaad White had like 100 some yards. Let me pull that up real quick too. I'm just getting into a diatribe about the game. But the mainstay for the Buccaneers, the main thing is that in the second drive of the game, it's 3-0 at this point. Baker Mayfield on, I believe, 2nd down, shotgun pass, gets sacked and fumbles the ball. He got sacked 5 times yesterday. After that, goes on and has a perfect quarterback rating, 4 touchdowns. I think it was 381 yards, and no interceptions. He was 78.6% completion percentage, just off the charts for Baker Mayfield yesterday. Throwing balls into tight windows too. It wasn't just like, oh, let me throw a slant, and then a guy does go 52 yards. It was like he was throwing 30, 40-yard bombs besides that into tight windows where I was some of these plays I was like, but it was just like, oh, they caught the ball, and they caught the ball every time. Chris Godwin, 10 receptions, 155 yards. You don't see Mike Evans on there, but he had a touchdown as well. Keith had a touchdown. Rashad White had a touchdown. Just like these people who shouldn't be scoring touchdowns. Rashad White didn't have another 100-yard game on the ground, but had over 150 all-purpose yards, being that he was catching the ball too. This is the best game for the Buccaneers that they've had all season. If we can play like this against any other team, obviously it's different, right? You know, it's like, oh, let's have a game against, different defenses. It's not going to be the same. But if we can not beat ourselves up and have a defense that actually stops the ball and can pick up and change things throughout the game and adapt, we can be a playoff team going forward. This is what, when I was watching the 49ers game, I was like, man, we have all the pieces there. It's just like we have to put them together. Dave Canales had his best offensive play calling game, and it makes sense, right? Like, it's his first year calling plays for an offense. You're going to get better as you go along, ideally. And it's his best one yet. So hopefully it keeps getting better and better and better, and they keep like playing this. Comparatively for offenses for Buccaneers and how big this game was, to show you guys. Last year at this point in time, Baker Mayfield has better numbers than Tom Brady that Tom Brady had last year. That's how bad Byron Leftwich was as a coach, and how much better Dave Canales is as a coach, because they have the same pieces. The only person that they took away and put in and plugged out was Baker Mayfield. They took away Tom Brady and they put in Baker Mayfield. They still have everybody else is still the same. They have a better offensive line now. That's one thing that they got better on. But this Buccaneers team isn't like wholesale different. They're still the Super Bowl like core that they had, Super Bowl winning team. Can Baker Mayfield be that guy? I've seen it enough this season where, yes, the games that they've lost haven't been Baker Mayfield losing them the game. It's been the defense, in my opinion. So as a Buccaneers fan, this game gives me all the confidence in the world. It wasn't just like, oh, we barely beat the Falcons, or, oh, we barely beat the Panthers. We went in on the road in Lambeau and we handedly beat the Packers. And we weren't trailing all game long. We led the entire game. So huge win from my Buccaneers, and it gives me all the confidence in the world going forward. We got some tough games coming up, I believe, for the Buccaneers. But what were your overall takeaway on this game when you saw it?
Yeah, this was a big game. I mean, this was a playoff-like game because, it's like the Packers are y'all really gonna, hang in there for this playoff race? They're, sliding a little bit down on the outside looking in with 8 losses. When you got like 3 or 4 of the teams over them, and the Buccaneers of 5 teams with only 7 losses. So this was a big loss for the Packers, but that was going to be the result. This game, I was like, whoever loses this game, they're going to have a tough time even thinking about the playoffs. And the Buccaneers, and that's one thing I was saying with the Buccaneers. What version of the Bucs are showing up? That's all it comes down to with the Buccaneers. They have all the talent that you will want on a team. I'm not talking about like elite quarterback. No, Baker can be a good game manager, right? That's not a diss, right?
No.
So it's like, he can do that above average game management. And, that's all you need when you have a Mike Evans, a Chris Godwin, etc., right? They established some kind of running game, so that's good. Over the team, over 100 yards rushing for the team. So Not bad. You know what I'm saying? Not bad as far as with that. Defense is where the Bucs would likely get exposed. Let's say you hope Baker can do a good game managing every game. It's not going to happen every game. We understand that. But if Baker shows up and the offense is just doing enough, it's on that Bucs defense. And I think, they did a lot of bend and don't break, I would say. Good against the run. Jordan Love didn't look super comfortable. I just think it's about just making plays. Got to have it third downs, and things. That's what really swung this whole game.
Right.
Baker made the plays, and they called up good plays for Baker, and the Packers didn't, and they didn't call it. Not saying they didn't call it right for Jordan Love. It just they didn't make those third downs they needed them, and the Bucs did, right? And that's the difference between winning and losing playoffs. Not, hey, the Bucs, they're in the driver's seat, I think, for this NFC South because the Saints. I'm not impressed at all looking at the Saints. Not impressed at all. I don't even think. I think we even gloss over them because it just. I don't see the Saints being able to score if the Bucs are scoring. The Saints that are working against like the Falcons because they have no quarterback, right? But it's like when you again the guy that have it points. I trust the Bucs more than the Saints, and we'll just see. I mean, I think they got one more game against them.
Yeah, I was just gonna pull that up. The schedule. But boom. So they won against the Packers. They're at home versus the Jaguars. I mean, I'll say that's a W on my end. I mean, I'm confident, way more confident in the Buccaneers than I am the Jaguars, the way the Jaguars are looking. But then they're home against the Saints, so that's another one, a big game. They've already won against the Saints away, and in New Orleans. So if we can, then people are saying too about a quick little tidbit about the Buccaneers. Things that go on behind the scenes. We're wondering about like next year, kind of, teams are in a position. Some teams are like, whoa, what are we gonna do next year? What's next year look like already? As you should be as a good organization. And people are saying if Baker can win versus the Saints, he's gonna be the quarterback again next year. Like that's pretty much what you need to do as a Buccaneers quarterback. Have us get into the playoffs, beat the Saints. That's all we need to do. Because the Saints have quote unquote had the Buccaneers number over the years. So we can possibly win out Buccaneers here and end up 10-7. And that record's not correct, by the way, on this.
I'll say like with the Jag, I'm not gonna sleep on the Jags totally now. Like against elite teams, yeah, I don't believe in the Jags, but the Bucs, they're scrapping, they're trying to get into the playoffs. It's gonna be a good game. But even if let's say they do lose to the Jags, it's still all about that Saints game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's literally so even if the Bucs go out there and the Jags, they get desperate, Jags get the win. Bucs just win these last two division games and you win the division.
Right.
That's where they'll be at, right? So they're in the driver's seat. Obviously you want to go out to try to win a game against the Jags.
Yeah.
Because then you're really putting your foot on the neck of that division. So it's gonna be a good game. Again, because the Jags, they fighting for their life. Like, man, they got the whole division like on their neck, So that's gonna be another good game again, like every week.
It's been interesting to see the NFC South versus the AFC South, like, and the fact that they're both struggling each of the divisions, and as far as the teams go, and then us playing each other has been very fun too. Like the Colts Buccaneers game was very good. On top of that, but getting this Packers win, like you said, it puts them ahead in the driver's seat. But not only that, it's like you got to feel good and confident going against the Jaguars. Like the Packers were going to be the test. The Jaguars are definitely going to be a test. And we're already playing playoff football. Like they already are in that mindset. We have to win every single game in order to go to the playoffs. Losing isn't an option. And I said it on Sunday. I think I said it last week too. The Buccaneers are undefeated since Baker Mayfield said, everyone needs to get pissed off. And if everyone's not going to get pissed off, I'll drag them to the playoffs if I have to. They've won every single game since then. And I think they've really came around as a team. When everyone is counting you out, that's a good thing. Like the narrative around the Bucs this season, I've loved. I'm like, yes, keep counting us out. Keep having that narrative. That's just fine. Because when someone doesn't expect you to be good and you come up and you surprise them, you can really smack them in the mouth. And I think they have the chance to do that. Just like, people don't compare these two teams the same way. But I'll compare the Bills and the Bucs as far as like the Bills being a team nobody wants to face in the AFC. The Buccaneers are actually a team that nobody wants to face in the NFC either, just because they have a defense that can change the game and they have an offense that can change the game. Nobody will agree with me on that because they don't watch the Buccaneers like I do. But I know they have a core team around the key players on that offense and the defense. I mean, Vita Vea came back yesterday and he was just one arm induced to the ground. The defense, they're a group of guys that really fights for each other. Then getting Devin White out of there, I think it's gone and done loads for this team. every game that Devin White hasn't played this season, the Buccaneers have won. So that's all I'm gonna say with that. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's
it's a
so
cancer
much
in the
cap
locker
right
room,
there.
dog.
That's
God, dude. I'm just saying, dude. Dude was trying to hold out earlier this season for 100 mil, and he's playing like dog crap this season. And your backup's coming in and outplaying you. You know, I'm just saying, dude. I'm just saying. Yeah, just spit up my soda. Yeah, see exactly. People want keep hating on the Buccos. Keep hating on the Buccos. We'll see you in the playoffs. That's all I'm saying. But I think going forward they can definitely win out and be in sole control of that division even before they face the Saints or the Panthers. Just because of what the Saints and the Panthers or Saints may do. Yeah, go ahead.
So as far as with let's say they win a division because they should be favored. You know, they're just showing up on these must-win games. You know, they play the 5 seed, right? They would play the 5 seed. So you're talking about likely the Cowboys, but you're saying whoever doesn't win the NFC East. So your confidence level, because either of those teams, because it could literally be the Eagles or the Cowboys coming, you know, to Tampa Bay, for a playoff game, like all that work to get there. But then it's like, hey, I'll say this even more in depth. Which team would you rather see as that 5 seed right there, as a Bucs fan?
It's tough to say. It's like recent, you know, what have you done for me lately? Recency bias and looking at the Eagles and the Cowboys. They haven't both looked great. But let me switch over to the Eagles. They're only up 7-0 right now, going in 8 minutes left in the second quarter. I think I would rather see the Cowboys, honestly, just because I think there's some Buccaneers players on last year's team that we lost to the Cowboys. So there's first round last season at home. So I think there's some redemption on that. And also just like I think if they on the road, the Cowboys are a worse team rather than the Eagles. And the Eagles went to the Super Bowl last year. I think and they've been the best team in the NFC all year long. They've found ways to win games. I think the Buccaneers could catch the Cowboys sleeping more so than the Eagles. And Jalen Hurts would give the Buccaneers defense more problems than Dak Prescott would. That's how I feel about that. And again, I think the defense is coming together at the perfect time. As long as Todd Bowles doesn't F it up and try and put Carlton Davis or Devin White back in, like we'll be fine. But as soon as those players are put in there, it's like we're screwed because they're going to target them, and those players just they're like asleep. I see Carlton Davis' face the whole time. He's always like this. It's just like, oh, it's like, dude, open your freaking eyes. How are you going to place coverage on defense? But that's just me saying that when I have woes about the Buccaneers, but I don't, man. We won 3 straight weeks in a row. He's stacking them. And yeah, the first couple were some tough, fought wins, but going on the road, getting this win against the Packers gives me a lot of confidence. And I hope this next game against the Jaguars at home gives me even more confidence. The next game against the Jaguars, low-key, Battle of Florida. I know, Miami wants to get in there too, but we're talking battle of the Bayou, not, battle of Vice City. Miami's not really like a Florida city. It's kind of its own freaking island out there. Let's be honest. Real talk. Let's be honest. But that does it for all the games that we went over. Obviously, there's a game going on right now. Like I said, it's 7-0 Eagles. There's 7 minutes left in the second quarter. So
sounds ugly.
Yeah, sounds like an ugly Monday night game, dude. Not very high scoring, but I'm gonna get this music on. Do you have anything to promo? We got the power rankings tomorrow, obviously.
Yes, about the NFL power rankings.
Yeah.
Talk more football. Like I said, we got even Saturdays for the next 2 weeks at least as well. So looking forward to that. It's not that massive of a shakeup for me because I didn't have the Cowboys that high anyway. So we'll see how they were high, but not like But but as far as the geek stuff, like I said, we back, in the full swing of things on the YouTube channel, on the Patreon. Having a lot of fun with that. On the Geek Network channel, which I kind of moved on my smaller videos on the second channel, man, the streets want that Echo series, man. So I got a new video dropping tomorrow for talking more about the Echo series, the Daredevil and Kingpin. So really excited about that. Carlos said we need basketball streams after Christmas time. That's when the NBA is going to heat up. Because I'm finally caught up with the football stuff, so we're going to get some NBA stuff going. So around the board, full syndicate network. We all over the place, man.
We all over the place, and this week is
Rebel Moon Week.
I was gonna say, this week is Rebel Moon Week, so we're gonna be super busy coming, Thursday, Friday. But hey, real talk. Without you, how many Florida teams have Super Bowls? Oh, that's right. I mean, how many Miami Super Bowls have been won in the last 30 years? Oh, that's right. Oh, the Buccaneers have more Super Bowls, don't they? Oh. That's right. I just want to say that, bro. I just want to say that about Florida teams. Let's be accurate about them Florida teams in football, dog. You know what I'm saying? But that's just a Buccaneers fan talking shit to a Miami Dolphins fan right there. I had to deal with a Miami Dolphins fan my whole life being a Patriots fan too. Jeez, man. They're just a different breed. But yeah, Rebel Moon, everyone. Rebel Moon, Rebel Moon. I can't wait for Rebel Moon, man. And obviously, I would suggest for everyone who's hyped for Rebel Moon, go to either your YouTube music or Spotify music and type in Rebel Moon Part 1. You go to the official soundtrack. There's like 15, 14 songs in there by Junkie XL. You get immersed into this in a different... I've just been listening to it, man. And like my lady's been listening. She goes, I'm going to be scared this whole movie, I feel like. Like this is going to be a thriller Rebel Moon. So I definitely recommend that to anybody. Listen to that soundtrack. It is fire and it gets you into the mood. And obviously, we're getting the playoffs for football. Tomorrow, Power Rankings is going to be very interesting. I got to maybe Sparta kick a couple of teams. I don't want to Sparta kick. I don't know. I want to keep the Cowboys up there, man, but I can't. I'm sorry, Necron. Cowboys aren't going to be at the top. That just is what it is. But everyone, come here back tomorrow. We'll see where your team is. See if the Dolphins moved up at all. I don't know if they did. They might stay put too. I don't know how I'm feeling about Carlos. We definitely know the Lions ain't making it, but we'll see how. We'll see how.
So much cap.
You know, I can't get out of a stream unless I hit my quota. But everybody, have a good night. Enjoy the Eagles-Seahawks game. The Eagles scored a field goal. It's 10-0. We'll see y'all tomorrow for the Power Rings. All right. Till next time. Peace.